There's no advertising or sponsorship on this show, but if you enjoy listening to it and would like to show your support by, say, buying me a coffee, please head on over to 5minutebiographies.com/coffee to see how.
Welcome to Season 7 of the 5 Minute Biographies podcast. Here is your host, Wayne Armstrong.
Hi guys, welcome to the 10th and final episode of Season 7 of the 5 Minute Biographies podcast, where we'll take a brief look at the life of Charles Babbage. Often considered the father of computing, Charles Babbage was an 18th century polymath, meaning he was a person who had expertise in several different subject areas and possessed the ability to take the complex and create solutions from them. In Charles's case, he was a man whom modern space agencies would have loved to employ, a mechanical engineer, mathematician, and inventor, most well known for creating the concept of the programmable computer. Babbage was born on the 26th of December 1791 in London. Sadly, he developed a bad fever at the age of 8, so he was sent to a country school near Exeter. Later he would attend King Edward VI Grammar School in Totnes, but again his health failed and he had to have a private tutor to assist him. Afterward he attended the Holmwood Academy, which is in Enfield, Middlesex. The academy only had 30 students, as well as a library that provoked Charles's passion for mathematics. After leaving the academy, he continued studying with other private tutors. His first tutor was a clergyman near Cambridge. His second tutor was from Oxford, through whom Charles excelled in classics, so much so that he qualified to be accepted by Cambridge. Babbage began learning at the University of Cambridge in 1810 at the age of 19. Being previously self-taught in many areas of mathematics, Charles was disappointed in the basic mathematics taught there. As well as helping to form the Analytical Society, he was also a member of the Ghost Club, an organisation that investigated supernatural happenings. Transferring to Peterhouse, Cambridge in 1812, Babbage was the top mathematician. Despite this, however, he did not graduate with honours but received a degree without examination in 1814. 1814 would prove to be a good year for him. Not only did he graduate university, he and a friend, Edward Ryan, would marry the Whitmore sisters. Babbage would go on to have 9 children. The Analytical Society that Babbage had helped form while in college soon began to be more than just a collegiate exploit. He and some of his colleagues translated the French mathematician Sylvestre Lacroix's calculus work into English and subsequently published it. Life wouldn't be so good for him when it came to finding a career, as he kept applying for jobs but kept getting turned down time and again. But in 1820, Babbage helped found what would become the Royal Astronomical Society to support astronomical research, aiming to standardise astronomical calculations as well as circulate data. It was his time at the Royal Astronomical Society that would begin to make his mark in the world. He was interested in ways to correct errors in math tables, and he created the difference engine, which he revealed to the world on the 14th of June 1822 in a paper entitled Note on the Application of Machinery to the Computation of Astronomical and Mathematical Tables. This machine could calculate polynomials using a mathematical method called the differences method. They approved of the idea, as did the government, who granted him £1,500. In 1824 he won the Royal Astronomical Society Gold Medal for his invention of the difference engine. Some consider Charles Babbage to be the father of the modern computer because of his inventing the first programmable computer that paved the way for more complex models in the future. Charles took this discovery and ran with it. He converted a room in his house into a workshop, designing each tool himself as well as making them all by hand. He studied other industrial workshops and took notes so he could better understand how the manufacturing process worked. In 1832, he published another document called On the Economy of Machinery and Manufacture. In 1827, Babbage became quite wealthy after his father's passing, inheriting an estimated £100,000, equivalent to about £7.8 million today. Despite his early unsuccessful attempts at finding a useful career, between 1828 and 1839, Babbage was the Lucasian Professor of Mathematics at Cambridge, a very prestigious position. Although he was not attentive to teaching, during this time period he did write 3 topical books. That did not endear him to his colleagues, who grew increasingly frustrated with his lack of lecturing time. He would end his time at Cambridge having never actually given a lecture. Along the way he developed quite an interest in politics. He ran twice for Parliament for the borough of Finsbury. Like his early efforts to find work, though, he was not terribly successful at politics either, and lost by 500 votes in 1832, placing 3rd out of 5 candidates. Between 1833 and 1842, Babbage was busy creating a machine that could be programmed to solve any type of equation, not just polynomials. The engine consisted of 2 parts, the mill and the store. The mill, similar to a modern computer's central processing unit, executed the operations on values retrieved from the store, which we would consider memory. He had thus created the world's first computer. After creating this machine, he set about creating another difference engine, but this time he tried to use a lot fewer parts. He worked on this from 1846 to 1849, and when complete, the new machine would use only 8,000 parts, something that was unheard of at the time. But he never actually made it. Charles Babbage died on the 18th of October 1871, leaving behind quite a legacy and inspiring many inventors and philosophers, including Karl Marx, John Stuart Mill and John Herschel. But there was still the unfinished business of his new engine, the one he never made. Although working prototypes were attempted during and after Babbage's lifetime, it wasn't until 1991 that a fully functional difference engine was constructed by the London Science Museum. The construction was overseen by curator Doran Swade, who wrote the book The Difference Engine, Charles Babbage and the Quest to Build the World's First Computer, about the 17-year project to build the engine. The museum team worked from their collection of Babbage's documents and a 20-page blueprint of the machine, correcting only a few minor errors in the original design. The result is a 2.6-ton brass engine that is not only beautiful in function but in form, particularly when its many rotating parts come to life. By modern standards, the computer's weak, having only equivalent of 675 bytes of memory, and it's quite slow, running at 7 Hz. Still, for a device devised 100 years before the first modern computers, it's astonishing, and it stands as a testament to the ingenuity and genius of Charles Babbage. I hope you enjoyed that episode of the 5-Minute Biography podcast, which was the last in the current series. Don't worry though, I'm only taking a few weeks off to recharge the batteries, and I'll be back with Season 8 on the 4th of July. In the meantime, why not say thanks by buying me a coffee? Head on over to 5minutebiographies.com/coffee to see how.
Thanks for listening to the 5-Minute Biographies podcast at www.5minutebiographies.com.